this alphabet. I have an apple for later, and I have the book. I might sit on this chair. That's okay with you guys. Yeah. Well, he'll be here any minute, and this is the book that we did together. I did the pictures for it, and he did the words. He did the words first. That's how these things go. I'm very proud of this book. I worked really hard on it. I'm sure he did too. It's just if you look at some of the color work, there's sort of a progression. There's like a sunset at the beginning, and there's some dark. There's a dark. It's called the dark.
I'm sorry, I don't know who that man was who was shouting at you.
I was just showing him the book. I'll get out of the chair.
And I don't know why that man who was shouting would tell you such a terrible lie. I don't know why anyone would lie to children. Although it is fun. I know you were abducted from your homes and dragged out here to the searing heat onto a field where who knows how many people were buried. Who knows how recently. And you were told that Lemony Snicket was going to be here, but I'm afraid he isn't. There's nothing funny about it.
Uh-oh.
I actually find it very sad. I wish you could see Mr. Snicket's handsome face, or his incredibly stylish way of dressing, because Mr. Snicket believes that when he comes to a place where people are gathered about literature, he believes in dressing up, showing a little respect, the way someone might show respect for safety by wearing a handsome uniform. Mr. Snicket likes to show respect for his audience by dressing up in a handsome suit, whereas some people just wear any old thing that was lying around. Nevertheless, despite their enormous differences of quality and taste, Mr. Snicket and Mr. Klassen have collaborated, a word which here means that they worked together the way you might collaborate with your friends to rob a bank or kidnap a child. But Mr. Klassen and Mr. Snicket did not rob a bank, did they not? They did not kidnap a child. Not yet. They worked together on this book. The book is called The Dark. But before they worked together, they also worked separately. So we'll show you some exciting visual materials which will illustrate the work of one extremely talented person and one extremely sweaty and sloppily dressed person.
All right, well, we brought some slides on the screen, and this is me when I was little. I was supposed to bring a picture like this, and this is me in Winnipeg, in Manitoba, in Canada. That's where I was born. And it was very nice. It's winter time. It's very cheery. I'm having a good time on the swing. It's a good picture.
Swings are a waste of time. They go forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards and never end up anywhere.
This was a great day for me. It was a good time. Next slide.
This is a picture of Mr. Snicket when he was not a child. While Mr. Klassen wasted his youth indulging in swings, Mr. Snicket is seen here indulging in one of his favorite activities, staring into space, which Mr. Snicket does very frequently.
Oh, this is one of my slides again. I brought one of my favorite paintings. This is a party, sort of a party in a village. They're all having a party down on the ice there, and more people are coming to the party in the top corner. There's some birds going to the party. Everyone's going to this nice snow party.
It's a ghastly picture. You can see some innocent people celebrating something or other on a small grassy field, little knowing the trouble that will await them. Perhaps it reminds some of you of your own innocence, celebrating something on a grassy field, little knowing that soon there comes the threat of men with sticks and some wild dogs that they own.
No, they're just coming to the
Soon those innocent people will be beaten and eaten.
Well, the birds are having a good time there.
The birds are trying to warn people to get away, just as if there were any birds here, they would do the same thing. Too-wee! Too-wee! They would say, and you would say, but I don't speak bird, and by then it would be too late.
Alright, I'm going to the next slide.
Oh, this is, well, Mr. Klassen wasted his youth looking at terrible pictures. Mr. Snicket had a more useful education. He learned several great tricks. He learned several great tricks. You can see a trick that he learned here. He learned to, it's a quite exciting trick, he learned to jump straight up into the air with both arms extended like a major religious figure and both legs extended, which is really quite remarkable. One of his legs would kind of be up like this, and then the other one, would you? Come on. The other one would be extended like this. It's really quite a fantastic trick. And meanwhile, his sister would be dangling from the ceiling, no matter how soft, like a ground covering in some cases the ceiling would be, she would be dangling upside down, and Mr. Snicket would be jumping straight up. Oh, I'm sorry, this photograph is upside down.
Oh, this is a picture I brought again. This is a picture from the movie Pinocchio. This is my favorite animated movie, and I really like the backgrounds, and I worked in animation doing backgrounds for a long time, and this is very inspiring.
It's, of course, a ghastly film. This is a scene from the house of Geppetto, a man who owned two things: a wooden boy and a fireplace. You have to wonder about anyone who would own a child and the means of destroying a child. While Mr. Klassen was wasting his time with senseless and violent movies, Mr. Snicket indulged in more serious aspects of research. He is seen here researching an early book of his that perhaps you know, called The Man Who Wore an Unusual Metal Hat in order to distract people from his very long nose.
Oh, this is Frog and Toad. These are my favorite books. These are beautiful books. They're about Frog and Toad. They're friends. They have tea and coffee, and they have walks in the forest. These are my
friends. Can you imagine?
And Frog and
Can
Toad.
you imagine having coffee with a friend of yours, and then suddenly you felt along your leg something slimy rubbing against you, and then you would say to yourself, this isn't friendship.
No, they're just
And that's exactly what they're doing here. You can see their slimy appendages are rubbing against one another underneath the table.
He just did his research. That's just how frog feet look. He's a good illustrator.
He's not a good illustrator, and you wouldn't know.
Next slide.
While Mr. Klassen was listening to senseless stories of so-called friends, Mr. Snicket learned a very important lesson, which is to listen to yourself.
Oh, this is my desk. I live here in LA, and I work downtown at a little studio space that I rent, and this is how I make the pictures. You do sort of paint samples, and then you cut them out, and you put them together in the book, and that's how a lot of these books get made. I have a fun time doing this stuff. It's a really good job to have. I can probably keep talking.
Do you want to show us one of your wonderful illustrations now?
I can. This is like, I put it together like that, where it's plants and grasses, and then there's a rabbit.
A rabbit hiding behind a rock.
No, he's not hiding. He's just sort of sitting.
His eyes shifting this way and that.
Oh, he's just a good guy.
Because nice. You never know when a carrot might be walking by and the rabbit would pounce!
He's just a good rabbit. Next slide.
Yes, this is an important part of Mr. Snicket's working process. And this is actually a very important slide, probably the most important thing you'll ever learn at the target children's stage. No matter how many children are targeted, this is still the most important thing you'll learn. In fact, Mr. Snicket asked me to read out loud something that he wrote down about this particular slide, which depicts a bottle of laudanum. Important message to targeted youth. Don't drink poison. A little bit of poison will make you sick. A medium amount of poison will make you sicker, and a lot.
Is it not good?
It doesn't say. I guess there's nothing wrong with drinking a lot.
Oh, this is a book. This is one of my books. This is called "This Is Not My Hat." It's by. Thank you very much.
Don't encourage him.
No, I like this book. This is about a little fish who steals a hat. There he is. Wait a minute. Yeah, there he is, sort of stealing the hat initially. This is the big fish that he stole it from. Next slide. There we go. There's the big fish. And it doesn't end very well. There's a crab. He's just in the book. Are you okay?
I'm very sorry. Of course I'm okay. It's just something, Mr. Snicket is terrified of crabs. I, of course, am not scared of them because I am a grown man,
right,
more or less fully employed, but Mr. Snicket is terrified of crabs, and in fact, if you see anyone today running and screaming because of a crab, then that is definitely Mr. Snicket, but I, of course, am not afraid of crabs. Can we go to the next slide right now?
We can go to the next.
Yes, well, this is, in order to shield himself from such dangerous influences as the sight of a crab, Mr. Snicket works with this tool, which is called the isolator. It was designed by Hugo Gernsback, who's a member of the American Physical Society, as all of us are. You probably can't read the caption due to what I'm told is the sun. So I'll read it to you. It says, the author at work in his private study, aided by the isolator, outside noises, such as the clacking of crab claws, being eliminated, the worker can concentrate with ease upon the subject at hand. And now we've reached the subject at hand, which is this book, The Dark. Thank you. The Dark was written by Lemony Snicket and illustrated by a man whose name escapes me for the moment. And the dark looks like this and contains various images. It contains images that are both very light and very... what's the word I'm looking for? Badly drawn. Yes. Thank you. So you can see both that. Here is the dark is a character in the book The Dark. So you can see the dark there in the closet, and you can see the dark there behind the shower curtain, and you can see the dark